Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? Whew, that was loud. Good afternoon. Psych, we're doing the show a little earlier. So we're doing an hour early. Let me know if you guys think this is going to be better. I might play around with timing a little bit. Let me turn my microphone up a little bit. I sound a little low. How's everyone doing? We got lots of people in the chat all of a sudden. Niam, ASK, Harry, McGaming, two stragglers rather, NGM, Alex, Luca, Mike, Tech Junkies, Historic Channel, Jefferson, PR, and many, many more. Good afternoon. This is kind of different. I have a bunch of stuff I need to get to later today. Editing-wise, I'm working on the GH5 guide, which is kicking my behind because it's just a lot of information. So I had a little bit of free time, figured I'd give it a shot. And I know a lot of you guys have asked to do the show earlier. So image is on point. Okay. Awesome. Okay. We got a decent amount of people. Perfect time here, says Take Me High. Okay. Sweet. Hello from Germany. Awesome. All right. So we got some international folks in today, which is fantastic. So do you guys get anything fun for Turkey Day / every year? I feel like this whole Black Friday thing just gets more and more out of control. It used to be Black Friday, then they did the Cyber Monday thing, and now deals are starting like the week of Thanksgiving, and then it's no more just 1 or 2 days. It's just this like 2-week thing, which is ridiculous. We got some Dubai action. Awesome. Greece, sweet. Awesome, guys. Awesome. Yeah, so if there was anything you picked up, let me know. I played it pretty chill. I was really proud of myself. I only tweeted out a couple deals. I didn't do anything ridiculous. I didn't really get too much. Some, smart home stuff. Some PC parts for an upcoming non-channel related build and some other stuff. So, yeah. Sweet. Anything we should talk about? Anything in the news? I know rumors are going around about the GH5S from Panasonic. Let's go ahead and take a look. I'm not sure how legit this is or is not going to be. Let me go back to OBS here and we'll hop into Chrome. I saw it on EOS HD. Let's go GH5S. Let's just see what the internet has to say. Casey Neistat's involved maybe with a leak. So make sure this is displaying. I'm going to move that onto the second display there. Yeah. So here's the article. I'll drop it in the chat for anyone that cares. And it looks like it's going to be like a pro video specific version of the GH5, as if the GH5 wasn't video centric enough. But I do like the idea of this concept. So for the longest time, we've had kind of these hybrid cameras. And I think it's really smart to take some of these bodies that are photo cameras, strip them of anything photography related, and then fill that extra space, if there is any, with bigger heat sinks, more video related stuff. And then I'm fine with them marking up the cost of that and selling it as a more video centric camera. So that could be really interesting. And I'd love to see other companies do something similar, especially if there's a space they can carve out. So down here we have like mirrorless hybrid cameras. Up here we have cinema cameras, right? So I'd love to see each company kind of throw something in the middle there where it's small form factor. Maybe it doesn't have, the most ridiculous specs or large sensors that the high end stuff has. But if they could fill that gap, that would be fantastic. I mean, how many of us would love to see like an A7S that's strictly a video camera? I mean, that'd be kind of interesting. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just being stupid here. Page not found. I'll try it again. Broken link. Let me click through to make sure it's working. Looks like that one worked at least. So yeah, that could be very interesting. Let's go over and see what's going on with this whole, did Casey Neistat just leak the GH5S? Ooh, we got a photo here. Did we get a big photo? Nope, that's his Twitter. Oh, that was the photo. Let's pull it up again. Or this is the tweet. Let's get crazy here. All right, I'm gonna zoom in real far. I don't know if you can see this on the stream. I'm just doing the control. Or yeah, I'm not seeing anything interesting about that photo. I guess it looks a little different actually. Yeah. Did you see that zoom in at all? Yeah, there's around the shutter button, there's some different material. It looks like it is different design on the top of the camera. So maybe, guys, maybe. I don't know. That'll be really interesting. What do you guys think? Would you go for something like that, depending on what it costs? Because the rumor is going around that it is going to be a little more expensive. Okay, so down in the article, they're covering, yep, the red button. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, sorry, I just totally got distracted and started reading away. Everyone's saying broken link. I'll drop this link in there too. This is from 43 Rumors, or 4/3 Rumors, rather. But yeah, just Google it, GH5S. Yeah, so that'll be unique. I'll definitely go for it. I mean, unless it's stupidly expensive, but I'd imagine I'd have a hard time seeing them selling it for more than 4. I feel like that even would be pretty high. But yeah, I'm glad Panasonic's messing around with stuff like that, if they're doing that in the first place. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Not really interested, some people are saying. Okay. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the GH5 is awesome. So if they can add some serious value, then I think it'd be worth it. If it's just a couple little things, then and who knows, maybe it's going to be a complete wash or fail, because I feel like they're kind of missing the mark with the, what is it, the G9? Granted, that's more of a stills camera, but I feel like for video, it's definitely not. Yeah. And it would be interesting if that gets released around the time the A7S3 gets released, if that happens, which, we don't know. We don't know at all. Autofocus will be improved if the sensor scans are at the rate it's rumored at, from Alex Miner. Yeah, and EOS HD, he goes into detail about the sensor that they think it's going to have, because I guess Sony has a brand new Micro Four Thirds sensor that they've released or announced, so we'll see. We got a question from Nick. Maybe we'll jump to some questions. GH5 or C100 Mark I for weddings? I'd probably go with the GH5. I mean, the C100 is also really, really good. So if you need really great low light, maybe go with that. But the GH5 is fantastic. And the C100 Mark I just saw dropped to brand new $16.99, maybe $15.99. So it's crazy how far that's dropped. I mean, it's older cameras, so it makes sense. But are Canon ever going to come around to 4K? For the low end, I think eventually. I mean, someday they're just going to have to get there. But I have a feeling it's going to be when 1080 feels like 720 or 480. They just don't seem to have that much interest in doing 4K cameras for their low end. And I mean, it kind of makes sense if I was a really, really greedy corporate person, like, hey, you look at the numbers, people are still buying those cameras left and right. So why change a bunch and add a bunch of expense to your empire if people are still buying? Having a hard time choosing between the Canon 80D and the Panasonic G85. Do you have any advice from ASK Vlogs? The 80D is kind of the perfect all-arounder if you don't need 4K. Solid autofocus, big sensor, has a headphone jack, flip out screen. It's just kind of all there, but it's just going to have that kind of Canon mushy looking HD. So it's going to come down to whether you want in-body stabilization and 4K, because the G85, you're going to have a smaller sensor, which is a little unfortunate, but you're going to get that great in-body stabilization, and 4K. But you'll lose the large sensor, the great autofocus, and you won't have a headphone jack. So, you know, got to kind of play with those. You could rent both of them. I think that would be totally worth it. And kind of go from there. People are saying they love the G80, the G85. No further questions from tech junkies. I mean, if it was me, obviously I'd choose a G85, but I understand some people just want something that's just, you know, kind of the good enough all around. So there you go. Right on. What about GH4 for wedding? I've said it in a couple times in the past, but at this point, I don't think anyone should be buying new GH4s. If you're getting a deal somewhere, awesome. But why am I still on the... Oops. Sorry, guys. Not that you want to see my face larger, but... Whoops. Okay. All right. There it is. At this point, the GH4, for just the image quality, I think it's better to go with a Panasonic G85 or the G7, unless you want all the audio, the headphone jack, and all the little time code video features and functions and options there. There's more frame rate and data rate options with the GH4. But the G7, which I'm using right now, the G85, both have a cleaner, less cropped in 4K option. So, you know, for the image alone, go with those cameras. Otherwise, if you're going to get a steal on a GH4, go for it. Alrighty. Going down a little bit here. What are your thoughts on the Loa 7.5mm micro four thirds lens from Sutton? They actually reached out to me about one of their E-mount lenses, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do something with them. I would love to check that lens out, and also their 15mm, because what's cool about that lens, so it's, I don't even know if I said that right. I'll put it in the chat. Leoa, that's the name. But they make really cool wide-angle lenses, and the 15mm they make is a tilt shift, but it is 1:1, so it has like a super close or zero minimum focus distance. So at 15mm, you could almost like touch the lens against whatever you're filming. There's some guy on YouTube that did a video about doing photos of like tiny bugs and stuff. You can get really close and still retain focus. I think that would be super, super cool to do some interesting stuff with. So we'll see. I got the iCan VL35 and wanted to let you know that it looks better than the Sony output set to 1080. The A7S II doesn't record 4K internally and also sends a 4K signal to the monitor. Thank you, Data LaForge. Yeah, I was just playing with it the other day because Scott was asking me some questions about it on Twitter, and it's great. It's so much brighter than the A6500, and he was asking about that. You know, hey, is that worth it for the A6500? And for vlogging, that's killer. It's, you know, $250, but a little bigger, definitely brighter when shooting in 4K, and very sharp. So I love that little thing. I know a lot of people were like, why would you ever want something that small? But there's definitely reasons to have it. Thoughts on buying a G7 now? Absolutely. I still love that camera. If I had more capital around and wasn't saving up for a potential GH5S, I would buy a whole like carton, I don't know guys, buckets of these cameras, because for multicam, I mean, right now you're looking at the G7 through a clean HDMI. You could buy just a ton of these things. You could buy 4 of them for the cost of one GH5 and then hook them all up 4K, 24, 30, and do multicam stuff. 4K multicam for like $2,000. That's pretty great. So awesome little camera. And the image is cleaner than the GH4. What would you value? This is from Brian Coates. What would you be the value of a used GH4? I have 2 and I'm thinking of selling. I usually just, personally what I do is I go to eBay. I look at the lowest cost one and either match that or go a little lower. But I usually try to just move stuff. I hate the whole, you know, waiting for it to sell and all that kind of thing. Off the top of my head, if I had to guess, I would say 700 to 800, maybe. It depends on the you know, how loved they are. Okay, everybody stop chatting so we can catch up. All right, where did I leave off, guys? Let's bang these out. What's my opinion on micro four thirds and full frame? I can work with anything. It depends on, like I love the GH5 because it's 10-bit and it's 4K. Full frame, usually you're not going to get as much awesome spec there just because it's big and it takes a lot to process all of that. So you're not going to find like a full frame 10-bit 6K sensor or something like that. But I'm down for either. It comes out of depth of field versus all the goodies that come with micro four thirds. Anthony says, love your channel. Thank you, Anthony. What are my thoughts on the rumored GH5S? We were just talking about it. I love the idea of something in between just your hybrid camera and your cinema camera. And if they do that and it works well, I'm really excited to see what other companies do because I would love to see that space filled. And, they've got these great tech. Why not strip it of the photo stuff and go with video? What do I think of Nikon cameras from Martin? I never was a big Nikon guy. Maybe early on when they had some cool stuff, but I just don't feel like they're making a lot of big splashes when it comes to video stuff. Like Sony and Panasonic, even though they're hybrid cameras, there's some really banging video action there. So, love their lenses though. I need a camera for videos. Want to do some reviews, B-rolls, vlogs, and music videos. Budget £550 with a lens. G7 with a mic input or GX85. No mic. I would go with the G7. I believe the GX85 is going to be substantially more expensive, $1,000 to what, $1,500, $1,200. So go with the G7 for sure. Great camera, flip out screen, bam. That's from Terabit Tech. All right. What about vintage glass? Yeah, I like vintage glass from Tech Junkies. Awesome. Alexander says, I see a lot of people praising the A7S II, but do you not like the camera, or do you think others are simply better? Honestly, I should just get a Sony full-frame camera. I've never actually owned one. I've worked with them in the past, and they're all right. Their rolling shutter sucks, but I just really haven't done a lot of content on them because, I feel like I kind of land intermediate shooters, advanced shooters, and that price range of kind of peaking out at $3,000. So those cameras are pretty expensive in that regard. So let me know. Do you guys want to see a bunch of A7S II content or Sony full frame stuff? Definitely let me know, and I will for sure consider that. And I'll have a meeting with the wallet and see if that's going to hurt a lot or not. Opinion on the Sony A5000 with vintage lenses. Yeah, you could have a lot of fun with that camera and some lenses. Actually, I think I have one. No, I don't have one on my desk. Trying to decide on two GH5 versus FS5 to add to my two A7S IIs. Wanting to shoot documentary on boxing. Interesting. That's a great question. The FS5, I don't know if I'd recommend that just because, unlike the FS7, I believe there's some pretty ridiculous compression going on. Not like bad image quality, but you're going to have to transcode a lot, if I understand correctly how all of that works. So I might consider maybe a GH5 or 2 and maybe a video recorder, depending on what your workflow is going to look like. And the GH5s are just great size for documentary. As a previous like corporate documentary shooter, I'd much prefer something like that versus a fully kitted FS5. So yeah, I'd probably go with the GH5s, but I'm that guy. So Matt bought the Viltrox light, says it was great videos on the affordable lights. Sweet. Those are awesome lights. I love them a lot. Why do you use Lumix cameras from Martin? I just did a video on that on my channel. It's entitled Best Cameras for YouTube, I think. And in that video, I outline why I love them so much. Now, if I had more money, I would have a little bit of everything. And I think Sony makes some great stuff. But for the tools and cameras I need for the studio here, Panasonic's kind of my jam. Which camera should I buy for film school? That's a good question. If you're not doing, client work, there's so many great budget cameras out there. So look at some older Sony cameras. With those and some vintage lenses, you're going to be set for all kinds of fun stuff. Difference between Canon FD and EF lenses. FDs will not really work with your Canon Rebels. Without an adapter, it's problematic. Don't do it. EF lenses are designed for the modern cameras. FD lenses have a different flange distance, and they work best with Sony and Micro Four Thirds. All right. Let's see. Yeah, GH5S. Fun stuff. Thank you, Bob, for the kind words about the great channel. Please talk about Sony A7S II. Thanks. Okay, cool. Thanks, Edgar. I'll consider that for sure. And we got a donation, $2 from John. And he says, one thing that's new on the GH5, which I use all the time, is auto ISO limit in video while in manual mode. Does the G85 have this feature? Great question, John. Thank you for the $2 donation. And that's a good question. I don't think it does. I think you can still set an ISO limit. I'm going to have to look into that, though. Yeah, you can shoot me an email or search around for that a little bit. But that's a good question I'm not sure of. I should know, but I don't. Whoa. Okay, so there are a lot of questions here. Let's go down a little further and try to catch up. This is from ASK Vlogs, is the flip out screen on the G85 or the 80D worth sacrificing for A6500? Yes, I would go with the A6500 over an 80D. Great camera for vlogging. You could get like a cheap display or use your phone for something to make that work. That's a good question though. I don't know. That flip out screen on the 80D is also really good. It's a really good question. Personally, I would go with the A6300 though. Is this Canon C200 worth it? I know a lot of people use them and like them, so I would say yes. I wouldn't get one necessarily, but I mean they're pretty powerful cameras. What's the font name in your thumbnails? All the fonts you see on everywhere that I know of on my videos are all Gotham HTF, I think. Can you recommend a must-attend conference for video photo creators other than NAB? Anything from MZED.com. They have a ton of great stuff. If you don't want to go to a conference, you can buy their video stuff or the recordings later. But every single one of those that I've gone to has been pretty amazing. So definitely check out MZ. Or just pay for Shane Hurlbut's, whatever the heck he calls his thing. Shane Hurlbut has a lot of great stuff. He has kind of his own training setup going on, which is pretty sweet. Hey, I'm about to get a G7. Can you tell me about any of its drawbacks? For the money, I don't think there's really much. Battery life isn't terrible. You mentioned battery life, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I think you should go for it, man. I mean, $500 now with the lens, that's pretty ridiculous. Have I messed with the C200 yet? No. Mitacon lenses. Have I tested them from Fly Guy? I have not. Those are on my list, though, so I need to get to that. The level of videos that are coming up, guys. It's ridiculous. So we have a lot of ridiculous stuff coming up. Lenses, lights, because I can't stop the light thing. I just can't do it. What What do I think of the Rode NTG2? I owned one. It was all right. I think there might be better options out there. It's been a while since I've used it, though. And we got a donation. That's not loud enough. There we go. Seth Williams. Just make sure that's not out of control. Seth Williams donates $5. Thank you very much, Seth. He says or asks, what kind of camera are you shooting this live stream through? It looks really good. How do you set it all up? Any specific software I'm using? So Seth, we're rocking a G7 from Panasonic with the 14 millimeter f2.5 lens. That is running over to a little AVIO HDMI, input for your computer. It's a capture card. So it's a little box. A video I recently did on my desk setup, I covered that very briefly. And that sends the HDMI signal into the computer via USB 3. And I'm using OBS, very straightforward, Studio to record, or in this case, stream. And that little box I'm using is 4K. So it can take the G7 native 4K, and I'm pulling that right in. And then I can record 4K on the computer. So that's that. If you do 1080, it's way more affordable. This little thing here is like, I think $400, and I thought it was worth it because I could record 4K right here at the desk. But you can totally do 1080 and spend like $100 or something like that. So yeah, that's the setup. Thank you for the donation. And we also, right after Seth, oh my goodness gracious, Canadian $5 from Rovan Russell. He asked, does the Sigma 18-35 on the GH4 give you a true 1.2 with my ultra speed booster as well as 18-35 since this lens is made for APS-C? That's a lot of math to work through. Here's the deal with lenses, though. An 18 millimeter is always an 18 millimeter, no matter what. There's the equivalent focal length, which I believe is what you're asking about. I'm not sure what kind of black magic is going on inside of those adapters. So, are you getting a true 1.2, like focus-wise and all the mathematics optically that go into that? I'm not sure. I don't have a light meter. I'm going to be getting one, so I could actually test this since I have one of the speed boosters. I'm not sure. I don't think I have the Ultra, though. That's a tough call, man. Are you trying to figure out what is going to work best framing for you? Yeah, so I don't know if I can answer that. I'm sorry. Thank you for the donation, and I'll have to investigate that further because that's a good question. Also, keep in mind the GH4 is going to crop in at 4K, so you're going to have an additional crop to figure out on top of it being micro four thirds. You're the hero Gotham deserves from Chris. That's one of the best things I've ever seen. Thank you. Yeah. What do you guys think? Any of you see Justice League? No spoilers, please. I saw Justice League. I'd be curious if you liked it or not. Yeah. Okay. Catching up here. Just bought a G85 and a GH5. It's in the mail. So excited. That's awesome. The Man Shell. 2 great cameras. Thoughts on the 1DX Mark II for video? From what I've heard, it's pretty dope. Haven't used it, though, myself. Am I Professor X? Getting there. Still a little bit of hair up there. Just need to... I should do that for Halloween. That would be awesome. Thank you for that idea, Gene. Means that's nice. I like that. Just watch your $5 cable to allow 2 mics into one input. How does this work with the mic that requires power? It works. I tested it. I had 2 microphones that require power from the camera, and they both worked well. So you're good to go there. You could hook up 2 Rode Video mic rows, and you should be fine. Will Canon lenses work on the G7? Yes, with adapters. You got to factor in the 2x crop, but it's totally possible. Metabones Speed Booster XLR Ultra for the GH5. Love your videos. Thank you, Lucas. If you hop on their website, they have a little blurb on each of those adapters pages talking about which one you should go with. I can't remember which one. I can never remember. I want to say it's the Ultra, but I'm not sure. So they literally just say, if you have a GH5, buy this. Tech Junkies has got to go. Peace out, Tech. Thanks for joining us. Does the new GH5S have a new sensor? From what I've saw in the rumors, I think so. Check out EOS HD. We looked at that earlier, and he has some information there. Thoughts on Glass 4, Micro Four Thirds. Having a hard time finding anything useful at a convenient focal length. Not a fan of native. You'll have to go with an adapter, obviously. And the native, I'm becoming more and more a fan of it. The Leica lenses might be something to look into. They're kind of pricey, but with adapters, anything will work on that camera almost. Let's see. What do you use to mount your Convergent Design Odyssey Q7 Plus? I did a video on that recently. Are you talking about... I think I just use like a monitor arm. It's not perfect because it's on the back of the monitor, which I really don't like. So it mounts like this and it constantly wants to rotate. But there is some custom stuff out there that I know people have made. I can't remember. Chris likes Justice League. Awesome. Pixel 5 was, he says it was meh, pretty weak. Yeah, I'm on the fence. My wife really didn't like it. Very much so did not like it. But I didn't think it was the greatest thing. Immediately when I started watching it, it felt so choppy. It felt like a kind of a random edit. The little flag with the Justice League logo, it just kind of felt weird. And I didn't read much about it ahead of time, so I didn't know anything about all the drama with multiple directors, multiple reshoots, and I think that hurt it a lot. So I would have loved to have seen it if all that stuff hadn't happened. It was fun. It was entertaining for the action and the sequences. But yeah, it just felt weird, you know? Felt kind of like a student film with a ton of money. So, yeah. Okay, I'm getting lost reading all y'all's great comments. Can you go to the film school with the GH4? Sure. I'm not sure if you need a camera for film school. I didn't go, so I couldn't tell you. But if it was me, I'd kind of get something fun and cheap that I could knock around and just chuck in a coat pocket with like a used lens or a vintage lens. Have you seen Thor? I have not. I'm looking forward to that, though. So, yeah. I'll get back to you on your question about lightning. Favorite to go to LED lights for video? Man, that's a hard question. By far more and more, I'm falling in love deeply with lighting and LED lights in particular because there's so much cool stuff out there. It's really hard to choose. Right now, if everything burned down in the studio and I was only allowed to buy one single light, it would be really hard to choose. But for most applications, aside from like a 120D, I would buy the bigger version of what's right above me, which is the Falcon Eyes 18T. It's actually about this big, if that helps at all. Big LED matte, and you could light a ton of people with that, with all kinds of different setups. Yeah. GH5 in-depth review coming. When is it coming? Logan asks. Soon. I'm working on the guide right now. Final Cut is in the background where you guys can't see, and it's happening. So I'm working on the GH5 guide. That'll be out, and then right after that, I'll do the review. The reason I waited so long was trying to get this guide done, and when I finish a camera guide, like I spend so much time going through the menus, testing everything, and by the time I'm done with a guide, like that camera, I know in and out. And the GH5 has a lot to go through. So I'm about to film tomorrow the anamorphic end of that. I've got a 2X and a 1.3. So the review will come soon. And then all the stuff I've learned just about 10-bit, HDR publishing, anamorphic, all different flavors of it, and so much other stuff. I'll be kind of releasing that information as its own thing on the channel, not just about the GH5, just in general, just because there's so much that camera forced me to learn that we're moving forward to. So yeah, long story short, the review's coming soon. I guess you don't have bad hair days from Cryptic. Yeah, I love not having hair now. It's so nice. You don't have to look in the mirror like ever. It's great. Although your head turns into one giant Velcro strip, which is kind of rough. Do you still remember your freelance video project? What was it? Do I remember my last one? The last one I did was a big cheese project for a cheese brand, and we filmed cheese and lit cheese and some kitchen stuff. I think that was the last one I did. I think, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it was in Wisconsin. It was delicious. We all went home with a lot of cheese, and we got some.
Damn, son, you just hit with the wow effect.
Donations from Alex Miner, $2. He asks, are you going to review the YN760, 900, or 1200? Maybe. There are so many lights, a bunch around this bench behind me that I need to get to. But I am curious about those. I reviewed or talked about the YN600, but not the 9 or 12. So we'll try to get to those. I know some of them have fans and are allowed and all that kind of thing. And then from Darren Snyder, another donation. I probably need to start mixing up these sound effects, don't I? Darren Snyder, $5. Thank you, sir. He asks, I just got a 25mm f1.7. Should I also consider the 14mm you're using for vlog? He's using the G7 and the G85. Great lens, 25mm f1.7. I think the 14 is worth it. It is just wide enough. Like right now I'm at arm's length. So this is what I would look like if I was actually a little further back. This is kind of what vlogging would look like if I was vlogging. And at that 2.5, you can see it's kind of blurring out the background. I'm not too far away from it, but let me just actually make sure. Yeah, we're at 2.5. Good. I love this lens so much. It's my favorite of all the Panasonic lenses. It's I have the Mark 1, so you can get it for 200, 250, maybe less used, and pancake lens. So I definitely consider it. I would jump on eBay and try to get one used or something. Works really, really well. So I love that thing. Thank you for the donation, Alex and Darren. Oh yeah, by the way, you got me really pumped up on lights now. Looking for a nice set. Awesome, Data LaForge, cool. Thanks for watching. He's gonna head out. But yeah, lighting, man. We all love talking about cameras. All the questions I get for the most part are camera related, but lighting is the #1 thing that's gonna improve your videos, hands down. I would take a 1080p Canon 70D if I could invest way more in lighting over an expensive camera. Sorry, your first freelance project. Right on. And let's see. I love the 14mm f2.8, much sharper than the 25. Oh, okay. Interesting, Alex. Good information. Thank you. And Grant. Oh my goodness. I don't know what. I have no idea what that one was. Grant Johnson, 10 pounds. Thank you very much, Grant. He says, thank you for the great videos. Are you planning on doing a video on taking product shots for e-commerce sites with a white background? What lighting would I need? He has a 5D Mark II. Great question, Grant. I'll put that on the list. I think that would be a good video to talk about just white backgrounds and doing video. How do you deal with exposure, all that fun stuff. So I will do that. In short, having zebras on your camera or a monitor that can show you some kind of zebra's waveform or false color, what you want to do is when you light it, make sure it's perfectly white or just overexposed, okay? So having some kind of monitor to check exposure is going to be important, because often when you're looking at your camera, you're like, oh, sweet, it's all white. You sit down to edit, and it's actually just a vignette and kind of messy. So getting that right is important. So yeah, we'll do a video on that. I think that would be a great idea. So thank you. We will be talking about, I'm working on a potential collaboration that might involve, well, I won't say too much, but filming a product that's really sweet and how to film objects. So yeah. Let's see. How does color science work? Great question. Maybe be a little more specific, because I'm not that smart. But when it comes to each camera, man, I'd love to sit down or interview like someone who works on camera sensors, because there's a lot going on there. Hey, let's see. Crystal says, love your channel. I shoot a lot of beauty videos. Do you think getting the Falcon Eyes SO68TD is a good idea, or should I go with another LED option? I want to make sure I'm not limiting my options. So let's do something here. You're talking about this 68TD. That is the big round light, correct? Just going to double check, because I have a lot of model numbers flying through my head. Yes. So I've got one right over there. So I'm going to wheel it in, and let's quickly take a look. 1 second. Hopefully this cable reaches. Okay. Get my headphones again. So this will be kind of hard to demonstrate, but you can see if you're doing a beauty shot, this is probably as wide as you would be. And my desk's kind of in the way, so I can't bring the light much closer. But if I turn my other one off, you can see how soft this is without anything on it. So if you're in a smaller space, this is a great option. And you can change the color. So if you have daylight behind you like I do, you could change this to a tungsten or warmer color. I think it looked great. Now, if you're going to be doing a tighter shot, just pretend that we're cropping in kind of right here, you could get some really nice stuff. Unfortunately, my stand won't go any lower than this, but yeah, you could get some really, really soft stuff. The only time I wouldn't recommend this is if you need to be packing it up and bringing it out all the time, because it is pretty big and bulky. But the large, soft light, again, I wish I could bring it lower, is incredible. So I really like it, and it's really, 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 really bright. So you could have a window behind you, and it would be able to compete with that. We're at 23% now. So going up to 100, you know, that's a bright light. So yeah, I like it. I think it's worth it. I would get the big one. Don't get small ones, because it kind of loses the point. There's no point to have a 7-inch round thing. You want it big and soft, because it'll lose that kind of soft quality if it's tiny. All right, main light's back on. I'm just gonna shove that over there. See, look at that. That's pretty bright. And I'm showing off all the dirtiness of the studio. All right, let's get back to work here. Sorry, I got a little distracted there with the light stuff. All right. And we got another donation from Oscar Dan. He says, thank you for the video, sir. Love watching your light tutorials and reviews. Thank you for the kind words and for the donation. That means a lot. I'm glad you guys like the lighting thing, because I have a definite problem. I can't stop. Let's see. And we have another donation from Raw126. $5. Thank you, Raw. Will you be releasing a camera guide on the GH5 anytime soon on your website? I'll buy the moment it drops. Thank you. That's awesome. Yes, I'm hoping to get it done The air just kicked on. Hoping to get it done by the end of this month or the first week of December. It's just tons of information in that camera, so I'm finally finishing up, getting down to the last couple videos of the last section. So we'll have that done shortly. Yeah. So that means a lot, man. Thank you. Where can we find the old streams? If you go to the YouTube channel, there's a playlist where I've put them all in there. And when this one's done, that'll show up there as well. Yeah, sorry about that, Raw. I'm trying to do my best in here in the chat. How much is that Falcon Eyes you showed? I want to say 5-ish, 4 something. And it's huge, and it's all metal, and nice control. Can you quite see that? Sort of. There it is. Nice control panel on the back. I think it's DMX. No, it's not DMX, but you can get a remote for it and do all kinds of fun stuff there. And it's bi-color, which is cool. GH5 or C100? I haven't worked with a C100, but I think that would be a budget question if you can afford it. A lot of people like it. Want to invest in a display for the GH5, but don't want to just get the Atomos for the record option when SD cards should be coming down in price. I'm looking at the small HD as well. Any suggestions? Yeah, so displays, or monitors rather, small HD is fantastic. I love their focus monitor. I did a video on a bunch of monitors under $200. There's a bunch of 5-inchers coming out that I'll probably be covering here shortly. So yeah, if you're just looking for a larger display, I would probably get one of those sub $200 options, 7 inches. Otherwise, the small HD focus is a serious winner. Excuse me as I water up. Loved your Boltzmann video. Planning on buying 250-watt kit as soon as I can. Awesome, Alex. Yeah, I really like those lights. That 150 watt is banging too. I really dig that. Favorite LED hard light? Oh, guys, you're killing me with these which one's the best questions. That's a hard question. Probably any of the Aperture COB options. 300D, 120D, even the 120T is beautiful. Otherwise, that 150 watt we just talked about, I like that a lot. The output, the Fresnel, everything's kind of perfect on that light, and the price is good too. So we'll do a shootout. We've got, because I'm going to do a shootout of the smaller ones, and then we'll do maybe a shootout of all the big fellas. What? You skipped my comment again and read the one right after me. Sorry about that, Terabyte Tech. I'm going to find you. All right. I think you asked the same question, or you asked it again, so here we go. G7 and GX85 have the same sensor. G7 is the old G85. It has a mic jack. The GX85 recycled G7 sensor with newer shutter, 5-axis stabilization, but removed mic jack. Both are 500, 550. Interesting. Yeah, if they're the same cost, then the GX85, yeah, it's just going to come down to your microphone. And 5-axis, obviously. Yeah, so dual system sound or all together. I feel like that pricing's, it must be a Europe thing. Batman or Superman? Always Batman. Canon FD or Rokinon Primes for Panasonic. I'd probably go with the Canon FDs. The Rokinons are cool because they're all like the same everything, but I feel like they're a little green, and you can get a nice set of FDs for pretty affordable. And then turn around and adapt them to your Sonys if you move to Sony. Going back up a little bit, Grant Johnson said or asked, I recently got an LED 6500K 40-watt light panel used in ceilings for offices. Are these any good for lighting video shots? I would love for a lot of these LEDs for like bulbs in your house and office related stuff to work. Unfortunately, a lot of them have what's called why am I not remembering it? DWM, where essentially it like shoots out bursts of energy or light or power, and our human eyes see it as just a continuous light, but your camera will see all that stuff. So they might work. It's just going to depend. If you can get a camera in there and film it and see if it flickers at all, then you should be good to go. I've been meaning to do a video on this. I'll share it with you guys because I'd love to try this. So 300-watt floodlight. Well, here, let's go over to Chrome. Boop. Right on. So we're in Chrome. I'm gonna go over here. We're going to Amazon, and we're gonna search for 300-watt floodlight. So check this out. The other day I was searching for lights because that's a problem I have, and I found these 300 watts for $156, $155. These look like they could be a crazy bright option. The CRI is not going to be good, but 300 watts for $150, and they go up from there. Let's do a 500 watt. 250. Here we go. Excuse me. Where's the Big Daddy? Okay, so this one's $123 for 500 watts of output. So, I mean, that could be pretty sweet. So, I don't know if they're going to flicker or not. I think they'll be okay. I haven't found enough. Yeah, PWM. Thank you, Prudis. Yeah, pulse wave modulation. Yeah. So, there you go. That could be kind of fun for some crazy bright non-video lights. That could be cool. Did you see the new Avengers Infinity Wars trailer? No. Is that new today? Are we allowed to watch? Am I allowed to watch stuff on YouTube while doing a YouTube live stream? Probably not. Well, maybe. Is that cool? You think that's okay? Let's go back here. How do you gel your 120D with CTO? I melted a little plastic bit that came, shoot, sorry, scroll down a little bit. Yeah, so with that light, it's hot enough where you're gonna melt stuff. So keep it at least the distance of the reflector dish that comes with it. Maybe get some a Bowens mount barn door, like on Amazon or something. And that would work. It should be okay at the dish distance. Yeah. Would love to see a full studio tour. Yes, gaming schmo. That's coming. I need to A, finish this guide, and B, clean up again. And then we'll do that. Maybe I'll do that on a live stream. I need to figure out how to link my phone, and then maybe we'll just use the phone and walk around. That'd be fun. Don't do it. I don't know what don't do it is in regards to. You've triggered the thumbnail gremlins. They're coming to do. Oh, don't do it. Right. Yeah, don't. Yeah, right on. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, I'm starting to get the random demonetizations, like before the video is even public. I upload it, and it's like, yeah, you can't do this. So I have to constantly manually request that to get fixed. Any way to get notified of your site when the GH5 guide drops? Via email or something? Yes, on the website, on the right-hand side, you should be able to sign up for email notifications for all videos once a month and the guides. Also here on YouTube, the day it goes up, I'll have a video here, so you guys can check that out. GH5S, gonna be fun. I am Remy J. Yeah, hopefully it's real. I really hope it's real. Best shotgun microphone, all-around video shooting. Ugh. My favorite right now is the Asden SMX 15. Okay, it has AA batteries. 15. Let's go back over to Chrome. Boop. This guy right here. This is my favorite lens. Let's go 1 second. I'll get you guys a link. Bippity boppity boopity. There's the link. What's cool about this microphone, just make sure we're still over here. Okay, cool. 174, and it pretty much does everything the Rode Video Mic Pro does. You'll notice, once this stops freezing on me, that the other cool thing it does is it has an auto on and off. So you can set it to auto. If you turn your camera on, it'll automatically fire up, and you don't have to keep turning it on and off on the back. It has a little battery door on the front. You can see that kind of. And it has 2 AA's, so it's way easier to deal with batteries, no more 9 volts. And it's really good sounding. So that's a good microphone. I like that a lot. 174, it's pretty dope. They have the SMX30. I did a video on these a while back, but it has the shotgun and a stereo microphone that you can switch back and forth between. So yeah, and they have the plus 20 dB, all that good stuff. When you call a microphone a lens, did I say lens? My bad. More DIY builds in the pipeline, question mark? Maybe. I just need to find a good one and find time to make it happen. So yeah, I would love your guys' ideas though, if you think there's something worthy of a video that I should do. I am going to be doing a bounce board setup, and that's coming up here shortly. What do I think of the Sigma 18 to 35? Is it just me, or is that lens a little too overrated? I have it just because I feel like I need to include it in certain guides and things. And it is a cool lens. I mean, 18 to 35, 1.8, that's pretty great. But I don't know, it just, with the adapter and the lens, which is just so heavy, it's not my favorite setup. And again, on the right camera, it's a little different, but I just feel like it's a little overrated for what it is. It's good and all, but I wouldn't run over broken glass to go get one. Okay, trailer dropped today. Okay, I'll check that out. That looks sweet, or sounds as sweet. Avengers, a new Avengers. I can't even imagine the budgets of those movies, and it's almost like they're coming out with them like they're TV shows, you know? There's so many of them. All right, I know I'm missing questions, guys. I'm sorry. How do you get your audio so clean? Any plugins via Adobe? Are you talking about the live stream or my, I take it you're talking about my main videos? One of the reasons is the treatment in this space that I shoot in over there. So I've got studio foam, studio blankets. That helps a ton. You can have a crappy microphone, and if the room is treated, it sounds really good. And then I use the Aperture Deity shotgun microphone, and that thing is lovely. Sounds really good. And recently I picked up a Mix Pre 3 around NAB, and that has also helped. But I mean, the Rode Video Micro, close to you. I mean, getting an okay microphone and keeping it really close. I kind of joke around, like, keep your friends close and your microphone closer, because this will always sound so much better than doing this. Even though it's not that much further away, you have to jack it up. So the closer you can get your microphone, the better. How do you feel about Netflix camera regulations? Are you talking about HDR? I think it's smart. I mean, it's kind of a bummer, obviously, but Netflix knows where things are going, and HDR is the next thing. you know, we're going to look back on SDR as, you know, kind of like VHS someday. So things are changing, folks, and they're changing so much faster than they used to. Like lighting. I think in 5 years' time, we'll look at lights that don't have RGB as an option as like a joke. I think RGB is going to be huge. And next year, maybe the year after, like everyone has RGB lights. And I've got a video coming up on one. And the reason I think it's great is instead of just daylight and tungsten, you can pick your color temperature and then fine tune the hue. And there's so much you can do beyond that. It's really amazing. You should watch Punisher. Yes, my brother's been telling me about that, and I definitely want to check that out. All right, I'm going to try to plow through these here, and then we'll wrap this up. 20 Marvel movies in the works. Gosh, it's ridiculous. Michael Schmidt says the 28 to 35 sharpness and depth of field and close focus is super awesome. You talking about the Sigma? Because I should check that out. I haven't checked. I know they have a lot of new lenses coming out. I should definitely be covering those because they do make some great stuff. Is the A6500 worth it from the A6300 if you want a slightly fatter grip, in-body stabilization, touch focus, and less overheating issues? Yes. I haven't reviewed the 50 to 100 1.8. Yeah, there's a lot of Sigma lenses I need to cover. Yeah, that looks cool too. I mean, 100 millimeter f 1.8, 50 to 100. 50 millimeter 1.4 or 85 1.8 for smooth bokeh during interviews from August. For interviews, I would never shoot that at 1.4 or 1.8. Back when I did a ton of interviews, I really liked having a 35 millimeter and a 80 to 105 or 135 millimeter on like APS-C sensors. And what I would do is I would use Nikon glass because I'm not going to change the focus. So there's a vintage or older Nikon or Nikkor 105 f 2.5. That's a really good lens. They also have an even cheaper 100 millimeter f 2.8. Really good lens. And then their 35 millimeter lenses are pretty awesome. Right. So let's see here. We're going to call it a day, guys. I know there's some questions that I've missed here. We'll catch them next time. Did you like this? Let me know. Did you like the 3 p.m. or, excuse me, 4 p.m. Eastern? Usually I do it at 5 p.m. Eastern. I do the live stream here. Let me know if this is a better time for you guys. Maybe we'll just completely switch it up and we'll start doing these at 4 Eastern. Also, let me know if you have any video requests. I'll stay in the chat here when we wrap things up. A lot of fun today, guys. Really dug it. I think this was a lot of fun. I'm going to try to get some people on here. I want to start interviewing other YouTubers, bring some experts from different fields of video in. Maybe we'll talk about with some manufacturers. That could be a lot of fun. So let me know what you guys would like to see. Video, maybe tomorrow. I'm going to bang this guide out. We're going to finish that up. GH5 review and lots of other good stuff. So thank you so much for watching. It was a complete blast hanging out with you guys today. And I will see you in the next video.